Hi guys, hi everybody, welcome to Cat Tarot, welcome to my channel. My name is Kat. So let me start first of all with very short housekeeping. I'm on vacay from the 1st to the 7th, so upon my return I will address the readings in order, which will be first urgent, then rush, then regular. And I expect that you're still going to get within the time that you have ordered. So be careful with ordering basically urgent during that week. Also, I won't be able to be contacted, so all of the messages will be returned on the 8th. So guys, also don't forget to join social media, and also remember that I have live on Saturdays. It's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. During the summer months, it's going to be bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks is going to be live. Also, if you're part of my mailing list, which you can go on my website to kind of sign yourself on, then you can get some notification as well. So lastly, guys, if you're new here, welcome. And if there is anything that really resonates with you, one statement, two, whatever, usually not everything resonates because this is a general reading, but if anything resonates, that means that message was meant for you. I also suggest that you check not only your sun sign but also your ascendant and your moon. That's going to give you better kind of like triptych to kind of pull all of things together. So this month, because as probably you can hear, I have horrifying allergies, so it's really hard for me to talk. I'm going to kind of like be more focused, maybe really quick 10 minutes within what YouTube recommends. And I'm going to start with astrology because you really liked it last month, and I'm also going to combine with tarot. So let's do that. Alright, so the overview, astrological overview. The first significant astrologic event of July 2020 is a lunar eclipse, just like the previous month. Also, like the previous month, the eclipse happens on the 5th, but this time the sun-moon opposition is on the Cancer-Capricorn axis, which basically foretells certain situations, and they usually relate to career, or to home, or family. And these situations are either going to reach resolution or some kind of climax. So that keeps it in mind, right? It's kind of like that huggy feeling, but it's also there is like an ambition connecting to it. So many of us might deal with events or situations that put our emotional maturity to the test. And this is like being like a little baby, kind of like, I want this, I want this. So, but if you catch yourself doing that, you go, oh, that's what it is. I'm not completely lost it, right? I didn't completely lose it, right? So many of us may deal kind of like with the situation that we will be tested if we have ability to persevere on our chosen path by honoring our families, but really also at the same time remaining independent from them. So in some cases, this energy of this lunar eclipse can spur an epiphany kind of related to how our families have shaped and influenced choices we have made in our lives, right? Lannister always pays his debts. It's kind of like something that family kind of like ingrained inside of us. So some of us might even decide to make significant changes when it comes to our career or the direction in which our lives were going. And we might actually also reach conclusion that we have been going by the desires of our parents instead of following our own star, following our own dreams. So maybe you want to look and transport yourself back 2 years, because there was like some kind of situation that started like 2 years ago, and now it's ending. It's making room for new directions to go in. So this sun-moon opposition happens around the lunar nodes, and they are situated on Gemini Sagittarius axis, which suggests the need to free ourselves from that obsolete kind of thing. It's sort of like beliefs or dogmas and something we keep repeating, but it's kind of like you're wondering, like, how do I really connect with this, right? And especially if you have South Node in Sagittarius, which is kind of like being that master in the past life and now needing to communicate it in Gemini, right? So in order to embrace these new ideas, which is that North Node in Gemini, maybe it is a time to ask ourselves what really family means to us. what really happy family is. Hello? Anybody read Anna Karenina? And also whether we can regard society as a whole as a larger family, as part of which we all should contribute. So this guy is really age of Aquarius coming on. Everything that you're seeing outside, it's kind of need for equality. Sometimes the pendulum swings one way too much, but the whole point is understanding that we all want the same. You and the next person, you all want the same. You want happiness, you want love, you want peace. Yeah, maybe one person can have better shoes than the other one, but how important that really is, right? Because the circumstances that we are going to see on a social level can be a sort of a buildup of frustration, and that's why we see this manifestation of unrest, right? So until July 22nd, 2020, lots of twos, 222020, so 4 of them. The Sun transits Cancer. So that's basically also, there's Mercury until July 12th. So this is kind of like we need to deal with that retrograde as well. So throughout the month, the Sun and Mercury are in opposition to these other retrograde planets from Capricorn. So like, I mean, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn. So as a result, we will notice that it's not quite easy to find a balance between a private and professional lives. Many of us are working from home, and this could be pandemic kind of like imposed, or it could be that you're self-employed and you really have to figure out how to motivate yourself when you're sort of like not, especially if you're extrovert, where you kind of like need other people, how to draw that energy when you're like kind of like withdrawn or secluded, right? So it might be tensions with family members or higher ups, so kind of like no time to kind of like make these big waves, but discussions have a great chance of proving to be really productive, provided that we are patient enough. Cancer is one patient sign. So happy birthday, Cancers. If I'm forgetting to say that, it is your time, and it is really amazing how one sign can encompass both this like kind of come to my heart, come, and shrewdness about focusing and chasing your own goals. So let's go back also to that retrograde planets in Capricorn, that are Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn, but Mars is still in Aries, and this is its own domicile. So just think about, you came home. You're not anymore at Aunt's house. You no longer have to dress for breakfast. You no longer kind of like have to comb your hair and everything. You can kick and do whatever you want, right? So as of the end of the previous month, 27th, and it has the opposite effect, right? So as a result, we are really confident in our own devices, and sometimes this is too much. You see people who you think like, oh, you really shouldn't be confident, but it's kind of like ultimately a good thing, because we all are kind of like walking that perch, and we all are going to face our own demons. So there is no need for us to correct anybody, right? And it's going to be really strong need for novelty and pioneering, and we might run into obsolete system. So I don't know, maybe your grandparents will want you to kind of like check their, what was this, like 8-track or something, kind of like hilarious. So kind of like, again, advice is just be patient, guys, in this situation. So keep in mind that, you know, during the near future, we can progress without keeping in mind the past, right? So for some of us, this might be a right time to resume some older projects that we have been postponing for whatever reason. So Mars is the one that gives us the desire to see this project through, and also gives us that dose of boldness which we have been missing in the past. So socially, however, there might be a buildup of frustrations and tensions that might trigger a conflict. It would be like, blah, like I always wanted to tell you, but blah, it's all out there, right? And so it can trigger that conflict, and it can blow up as of August 2020. That's when Mars will square with the planet situated in Capricorn, right? During this term, it's more important than ever to carefully weigh Our every decision, gesture, and word, whatever we're talking about love life, sex life, professional projects, your social life, whatever, right? We should always keep in mind the long-term consequences and even remember the mistakes of the past so we don't make them again. Yeah, we usually remember that later. So during this term, saving graces can be professionalism, a responsible attitude, all kind of like we have to thank to Cancer for teaching us all of that, and also the ability to come up with long-term strategies. We also shouldn't feel obligated to solve all issues at once or the same moment, the same day. So since Mars spends a lot of time in its domicile sign, so it's usually spending 6 weeks, and now it's spending whopping 6 months, right? It's going to be also in retrograde motion in September, in the fall, right? So everything we now initiate is likely to go through an ample process of remaking and redefining a couple of months from now, because that's what happens in retrograde. You're looking, like, did I switch the light off? Did it, like, you're checking yourself a little bit, right? So do not rush it, right? Then we also have conjunction of Mars and Chiron, July 12th to 16th, which points out the fact that in some of our lives, some older issues and frustrations might come to light when we thought them long gone, right? We can make the most of the energy of this conjunction in order to become aware of the wounds that trigger an aggressive self-defense mechanism. Conjunction means they're really, really close, right? 2 degrees close. So almost like in the sky, they look like they're hugging, kind of a thing, right? So this is also kind of like finding a way toward healing. And by doing that, again, as I said, we are all connected. You have to keep others in mind too, right? So don't kind of like think, oh, I got hurt, I'm going to make you suffer as well. That's not going to work unless you want to kind of bring some really negative karma points on you, right? So Mars also, because now we have Mars in Aries and Venus in Gemini, so very flirty, very aggressive, right? So socially, it's going to be kind of like bursting. It's going to be open and it's going to be daring, and maybe getting a chance to build new connections. I guess stay safe as I'm saying this, but this simply, many of us will forget that kind of like word of caution, right? So the effects of the Mars-Venus combo also mean good news for those who are involved in older or even newer relationships, because they can easily kind of like evade the day-to-day rut and come up with really smart comeback that create a desire for flirting and goofing around, right? It's like usually when we really need to say something, clever, like we get stuck and then we say something boring and go, I had this opportunity. Why did I kind of like lose it, right? Also keeping in mind that at the same time, possessive or codependent people, or some of those people who decide, nope, I'm not going to change. Oh, sweet negative me, I'm going to be this way, what it is. They're going to feel completely out of base. They're going to feel really weirded out. It's going to be really super easy to spot them, almost as if all the lights are shining on them, and not in a good way, right? Because the energy of this term favors relationships in which partners know how to allow each other space and freedom of thought, right? So that's much so far, guys, and let's go in the individual signs and see how, in addition, that spiritually. Hello Gemini, and welcome to your forecasts. So let's see where your tarot, your spiritual review, is going to take us this month, in addition to the astrology that I just covered. So let's see, Gemini, July 2020, and we have indecision of some sort. The key is blindfolded, and it's walking this really tight rope, and even though it seems to be rather bright and illuminated by this moon, and go back to the astrology if you haven't listened to the introduction, you still are in complete dark. There is like some kind of essence. There are certain things that are not gelling of some sort. But there is like also about dedication of making a decision, dedication of kind of like going in kind of like one direction or another. You have also Knight of Pentacles, and this is also something that the speed is not exactly what you want. It's slow. But what I really like about Knight of Pentacles, I don't know if I said King, it's Knight, is that the energy is steady. It's a very friendly energy. It's also about some kind of ambition, and it's kind of like putting all of these bricks together and then finally enjoying this labor, because suddenly it's going to start to kind of like materialize. This also can talk about somebody that you have. It could be a confidant, or it could be somebody that you are eyeing who is just a friend right now, but it's a really good one. Now, in this combination, it could mean some kind of betrayal of some sort. Seven of Swords is always about me. I want it, and I don't care how I get it. Me. So I'm wondering if you have somebody who could be like an earth sign, that you're sick and tired of either their ambition, or you're sick and tired of their materialistic ways. And you know, we all kind of like to read this kind of like biographies or get rich kind of things. But you know, we are also realistic, and you're an air sign. You kind of like go through that with your x-ray kind of like mind, and you go like, well, this is all great, but you know what, nothing is really rosy. It takes lots of kind of like moving parts, and it takes like lots of elbow grease in order to get there, right? So here, the Seven of Swords is sort of like a warning of some sort, that maybe somebody is putting you in front of some kind of like choice or decision, but they really don't mean it. They're just keeping you distracted, so you would look just like a magician. You look in a different direction so they can do whatever they want. So be careful about that. That somebody, actually surprisingly, is going to be somebody who you trusted. And this is at Mercury retrograde. It's full of kind of like twists and turns. And there is this High Priestess, and this could be you sitting kind of like strong. Look at that moon that is repeating over here. She's sitting there. She knows the right from wrong. Like in this situation that I see it over here, it's almost like I'm giving you a little bit of rope here. Let's see if you're going to hang yourself with it. It also kind of tells me that you might be a little bit clever this month, that you're going to try to send lots of different stories through different channels and see what comes back. So to one person you might say that you won lottery. You another person you might say that you bought a house, and just see what comes to you with what story, and that way you will know who spoke to who and who is not keeping the confidence, right? That's what High Priestess does. She tests people. She looks in people's motives, and it's usually quiet energies, just simply sitting back and observing to really understand who is there for you. And you guys like this kind of games and kind of like finding what it is. You see, it was some kind of disappointment that I see that you are bringing into this month. There was like something that you wanted and something didn't happen. And the kitty is crying over these 3 cups that have spilled, that are kind of like lost. And you know, like they always say, but are you not seeing that these 2 are still up? Which means that there is like somebody else around you who kind of like has an eye on you, who is possibly there for you. And this might be this night looking at this. Also, it could be that some people like to take advantage of us when we are vulnerable, and I think that kind of like would be a situation here. So be very careful if somebody is offering something for the right reasons. It's going to be really crucial to see. Then we have like the 6 of Wands reversed. It's kind of weird. This is connecting to your sign. It is a 6 after all, and this is the card of victory. Whether or not up or down, it's still about victory. But this is almost like, to me, sounding like revenge. Kind of like you feel that somebody got the better of you, and you're plotting your revenge. And you're really setting up a trap in this particular situation, because they don't know who they're dealing with. It might make you tired from time to time. There's like this 4 of Swords over here, but 4 of Swords is about the going in the battle and knowing when to kind of retract. Almost like what I said, this example, that you might be kind of streaming different stories to different people to see, you know, like, I mean, who comes back with something. And that way you will know who connects with who. It's almost like that underground things around you. And that way you will really figure out maybe not the people who you most wanted to be, but people who and what they say about you. That's what's going to be really interesting right over here. Now, this is now your house, and we are getting Hierophant, which is now connecting to this 5. It is, for some of you, about the rules and regulation. For others, to me, this is a marriage card. It could be like, I mean, what are the obligations that I have here? What do I want out of this? Like, I mean, these are kind of like the lay of the land. It can be the rule of religion. It can be rule of the company that you work for. Not necessarily, no, this is clearly not your rules. It's not what you want it to be. This is like what we get born into and get settled with. All the laws, all of the responsibilities. Like, wow, I didn't vote to pay taxes, but I still have to pay them, kind of a thing, right? So this is kind of connecting with something from the past. So some of you might be dealing with kind of like going back and doing kind of like these things, revisiting something from the past. Maybe this is simply this Mercury retrograde, which is kind of like rocking who you are and kind of like trying to figure out how to maybe approach the situation. But this is also about stability. This is also about, you know, how to move forward within the rules and how to move it properly, right? This is like in your environment, and you're getting the full reversed over here. So somebody has lots of dreams over here, and the full card is basically the clean slate. It's that enormous potential that can go somewhere and can go very far. And it is about that exuberant optimism that you really want to go in that direction. This is ruled by Uranus, so it's air. Basically, it is behind this card, but it came reversed. Somebody is maybe literally foolish. Maybe you're literally having a situation where you cannot explain to somebody how foolish they are, right? Somebody's maybe doing things that are actually ended up costing you, and that's why maybe this is really showing up over here. Maybe, you know, you have somebody who just used your credit card. Maybe you're going to be dealing with the banks in that respect. Maybe, you know, you have your co-workers who are backstabbing you, right? Or maybe you're going to find that your partner has been, you know, unfaithful. It's going to be a really interesting situation this month, but to the point that, you know, what is going to bother you is that you have been very kind to this person, and I think it's more than one person. It's almost like you know what, was this Venus retrograde, and now Venus is Gemini, so you are actually understanding what you need. You're understanding this, like, I mean, enjoyment part of life. And Venus is basically the Empress card in tarot, right? So that's basically where you need to take care of both of these, kind of like nurturing, but it's also what needs to be done, such as quote unquote money. So you are really applying your X-ray vision in every area of your life. Your hopes and fears are 4 of Pentacles. Kind of like walls are up there. You are kind of like in a situation that you really don't know who to trust. And because of that, you're not letting anybody to come in too much. This is also kind of like a card. We are kind of closing everything down, right? Just like in this card, there is like a lots of analytic kind of like processing that is going to happen in the situation. So you're basically saying, you prove to me that you're worthy. You prove to me that you're worthy of me, or else. And so else is the Wheel of Fortune. So this is a karma card, and this Wheel of Fortune, karma keeps going. So it could be that you had to kind of like reposition yourself to go in a new cycle, to really see who is there with you, who is going to be the traveler down that road of life that you go to, and who is not going to be. And Even though you're usually the sign that gives a lot and it's really easy and quick to make decision, it feels like that some people took advantage of that for one reason or another, right? So maybe like, I mean, plotting revenge, or maybe kind of like tit for tat, might come to an end, because after all, there's like this new process that is going on. After all, you're going in a new cycle, so you need to really ask yourself, do you really want to bring all grievances to the new cycle, or you really want this wheel of fortune to come to you fully and enjoyable, because something new and wonderful is coming in your purview? So my dear Gemini, hopefully this kind of resonated. Not everything, because this is general reading. Make sure you also check your ascendant and you check your moon sign. And if you want to get a reading with me, check my website, cattarot.ca. And until the next time, come and visit my live, and I'll see you soon. You know that I love you and I wish you all the best.